Hello, and thank you for joining me today. You're going to discover how to free yourself from debilitating premenstrual mood swings in a matter of weeks without medication. What I have to teach you will put an end to feelings of low self-worth, misdirected rage, depression, and angry outbursts at loved ones. You will discover why it's not just the hormones. I'm going to take you step by step through the very process I used to heal myself from PMDD in the space of just a few cycles. So who is this for? This webinar is for women living with difficult monthly mood swings who want to take their lives back to experience emotional freedom, balance, and relief. I really want you to get the most out of today's training, so make sure you're completely undistracted, find a quiet spot free from TV, get yourself away from social media, put your phone on Do Not Disturb, and have something to take notes with. The message I have for you today may change your life. My promise to you is that in the next 30 minutes you will discover the steps I've used to heal myself and the women I work with from premenstrual dysphoric disorder. My name is Natalie Ryan Hebert, and I no longer live with the monthly chaos of PMDD. But it of course hasn't always been this way. I used to have horrible monthly mood swings, reacting strongly with either anger or deep sadness or worthlessness to the smallest trigger, feeling like I was crazy, searching the internet for answers. So having lived with it for almost a decade and seeing how little real help is out there, I've dedicated the past few years of my life to finding a real solution, first for myself and now for others. And now I'm free of it, I want to help as many women as I possibly can. First of all, what is PMDD? If you're experiencing any of the following, then you can be sure your body is trying to tell you something. I used to live with about 80% of these symptoms: crying spells, angry outbursts, getting very upset about things you later realize were quite insignificant, wanting to hide away, depression or feelings of hopelessness, intense anger and conflict with other people, tension, anxiety and irritability, decreased interest in usual activities, difficulty concentrating, fatigue, change in appetite, feeling out of control. The good news is all of these are just symptoms. They're not what is wrong with you. The real problem is that you've never had anyone explain to you how to heal the root cause of all of these symptoms. You didn't have the 5 steps before, but you're about to. Your doctor may tell you that it's all hormonal, and that seems to make sense because your crazy time is the week before your period. But what if they're missing something crucial? What if your hormones are simply taking your focus inwards? What if they aren't to blame, but are simply showing you the pain that is deep within you and bringing it to the surface? In my experience, this is the truth of PMDD. Now, if you're having all of these debilitating symptoms, you're being shown something. There is healing to be done on some deep emotional pain stored in your subconscious mind. That is why what I do works, because we work with the subconscious to heal any old wounds that are being triggered month after month as your hormonal shift takes you inside yourself. Here's a metaphor I came up with to describe what was happening every month. It was like there was a little box of pain deep inside of me, buried deep down. I couldn't feel it or see its presence the first 2 weeks of my cycle. But then the hormones would change, and it caused me to go deep inside myself, and this box would come to the surface, open, and I would look into the box with a magnifying glass. And I used to say to my husband it was as if my blood had turned to tears. I felt completely flooded by the contents of that box. Does that resonate for you, that picture? Here's another metaphor. We have emotional scars. We all do. Even if you had the most idyllic childhood ever, I'm telling you, you've not come this far without picking up a wound or two. Now, during the luteal phase, around 14 days in, and on to day 28 of your cycle, the hormones change. Ovulation is done with, and we start to go inwards. Now, if you have some wounds, then they're suddenly going to be coming up to the surface. Let's say you have a wound, and by a wound, I mean a subconscious negative belief that says, for example, I must never end up with a man like my father. All it takes is for your husband to say or do something that reminds you of your dad, and it's like he's thrown a grain of salt into your wound, and it hurts like hell. And because you don't realize you have a wound there, it's subconscious. You blame all the pain you're feeling on that grain of salt, the forgotten text message or the dirty dishes not put into the dishwasher. You're never upset for the reason you think. So think to your own life now. What are you triggered by? What are the grains of salt for you? Because that will give you a clue as to what your wounds are all about. If you recognize this in yourself, then there is healing to be done. As far as I'm aware, I'm the only practitioner in the world specializing in treating PMDD with rapid transformational therapy. What I offer is unique because I've been in my clients' shoes. I know the pain, the sobbing, the raging, and the feeling of worthlessness very well. And most importantly, I know how to heal it. Heal the wounds, and there is nothing there for the hormones to bring to the surface. Empty that box of pain, and it can no longer flood you each month. The journey from pain to peace when living with PMDD plays out in the following stages of awareness in my experience. Stage 1, everyone else is to blame, feeling so justifiably angry or hurt. In this stage of awareness, you don't think there's anything wrong with you, but with everyone else. Stage 2, here's where you begin to think, maybe this is me. It seems to be the week before my period, everything's emotionally chaotic. Stage 3, I knew it. It has to be my hormones. There is something wrong with me. Go to the doctor. Tell him or her your symptoms, and you get a diagnosis. I have PMDD. And so every time you rage or cry, as bad as it is, you now have a good excuse. It's not my fault. I can't help it. I stayed in this stage for some time, clinging to my diagnosis, denying the responsibility. But one day I really hurt my husband with my words. I'd been here before. My first marriage had broken down in no small way due to my chaos, as my first husband called it. I couldn't bear it. And so I said, right, okay, this might not be my fault, but it is my responsibility. No one is coming to save me. No one is coming to save me. My doctor didn't even really know what PMDD was, let alone what to do about it. She had to Google it. And so I entered stage 4, responsibility. And this, dear women, is the beginning of freedom. Stage 4 was my healing journey, and it is how I came to do what I do today. And I am guiding women to the same peace I have found. So what did I do to get here? I already had a psychology degree, but what I noticed is that talking about your past and your problems is kind of like picking at scabs. It only seems to make things worse. Then again, not talking about them doesn't exactly fix things. Either just trying to work it all out in your own head. I was frustrated with the methods being used, and I went looking for something better. And I wasn't happy to just take antidepressants. Plus, they kill libido, and that's not something I wanted. That's when I found Marissa Peer. Marissa is one of the world's most sought-after therapists. She's the one Hollywood calls to sort out their big stars. She works with rock stars, royalty. You can Google her. She has some incredible talks on YouTube and Mind Valley. After experiencing her method, rapid transformational therapy, for myself, and being changed profoundly in a matter of weeks, I knew I wanted to learn everything I could from her. And so I did. Marissa developed rapid transformational therapy over 30 years, and it was this therapy, combined with metacognitive therapy and some special meditation techniques, that I accredit with freeing me from PMDD. RTT works because it gets to the subconscious, which is where all our deep programming is held. And it is these methods I combine today to help my clients to find the same freedom, to find real self-worth and self-love that cannot be taken away. There are 5 tried and tested steps to heal the pain in this box that can be remembered by the following acronym. FOCUS, focus. F stands for find your triggers. What is upsetting me right now? O, own your pain or wounds. Take responsibility for healing them. C, come with love and compassion to your inner child. to your pain. U, undo irrational childhood beliefs and update them with new supportive ones. And S, solidify your new beliefs so that they become your new truth. So let's expand on each of these. Find your triggers by looking at what upsets your peace. Think to your own life now. What are you triggered by? What are the grains of salt for you? Because that will give you a clue as to what your wounds are all about. You see, the first thing to do is to become aware of what's been triggering you and how you then feel as a result. What is the feeling you have that has disturbed your peace? Get clear on what your symptoms are and what your triggers are. With these clues, we can start our work in looking for the deeper wound. Why is this so important as the first step? Without becoming aware of your unique pain, you cannot heal it. I made the mistake of either running and hiding from the pain through, for example, taking antidepressants to mask it, or hating it and fighting it, wishing I could just cut this part of myself out and throw it away. This is kind of like a fight or flight response we have to our own feelings, and it's not the least bit helpful. If anything, it only worsens matters. I got this first step wrong for years. If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. We need to do something revolutionary, something counterintuitive. We need to stay with the pain and hold it in loving awareness. But I'll get to that in a moment. My client Anna's unique pain, for example, was all about feeling unappreciated and overlooked, and she would react particularly strongly to anything that set these feelings off in her in the week leading up to her period. Paula, on the other hand, felt like hiding away, avoiding eye contact, and felt irritable if anyone came too close to her. Starting with these triggers, we could then look at what wounds were being activated. Once you do this, you'll have greater awareness around what triggers your wounds, so you can begin to find them and heal them. What this means is that every time you react and are about to be taken over by emotions, such as rage or deep sadness, you'll be able to check your reaction and see if it matches a deeper pain. So you may think you're upset, for example, because your husband didn't text you to say he'd be late. But go to the feeling. Perhaps you're upset because you think he isn't considering you, which means he isn't thinking about you, which means he doesn't really care about you. And so you begin to feel hurt and you get very angry. Now, what's really happening here is that you probably have a deep belief from your childhood, something like, when I get married, I'm never going to let my husband neglect me and take me for granted the way my father did to my mother. And so when something that has the same feeling or charge to it happens, you react very strongly, not because of the forgotten text message, but because of your childhood wound. Does that example make sense? Let's move on to the next step. The next step is to own your own pain. Take responsibility for it. This is not to say whatever pain you're feeling each month is your fault. It's just acknowledging that you're the only one with the power to do anything about it. Putting the problem outside of me, blaming my hormones, being stuck in the victim state. It's not fair, I know. But like it or not, this is your stuff and it's yours to heal. If you don't own it and vow to do something about it yourself, it will continue to own you. You can do this in many ways, but the fastest and most effective way I know to find that painful thorn is using rapid transformational therapy. The moment you say, okay, I'm ready to face it all, RTT can help you to access it and heal it. Our subconscious pain isn't easy to find. That's why RTT is so healing, because with the help of a skilled practitioner, you can easily find the subconscious pain and heal it simply by giving it a new interpretation. It's not what happened to you that has hurt you, but the meaning you assigned to what happened. The good news is, this meaning can be revisited and changed. Using rapid transformational therapy, we go deep into your subconscious to discover the root, cause, and reason behind the negative emotions that surface each month. In Anna's case, we discovered scenes from her life where she'd been overlooked and unappreciated by teachers and peers, and this left a lasting scar within her, one she didn't realize was still playing out in her adult life. Paula discovered that as a child, having moved to a new country, she had to hide her true self, change her accent, and not stand out in order to fit in with the other kids. This created a belief in her that her real self was not acceptable, so she would hide herself away. And this was her unique pain that played out each month for her. In each of their cases, they could match the type of emotional pain they experienced each month with the scenes from their childhood, which is where the initial wounds were created. Once you find the roots of your pain and heal them by giving new meaning to them, everything changes. Your beliefs create your thoughts create your feelings cause you to act in a certain way, and that leads to the events that make up your whole life. Changing beliefs changes everything. The next step is to come with love and compassion to your inner child. Why is this so important? By going back to the earliest childhood memory you have of feeling this pain you now feel today, you can actually access the moment the belief was created. And from here, bringing the compassion, love, wisdom, and understanding of your adult self, you can see how and why you began to believe what you believe in the first place. With RTT, we do this in hypnosis, and it is very powerful. There are so many irrational beliefs that we can form as children that go on to cause us deep pain in our adult life. Changing those beliefs can change everything. If you're anything like I was, up until now, I bet love and compassion are the last things you have brought to your hormonal outbursts. This needs to change if we are to heal. Here are some examples of the irrational, damaging beliefs that most of us have running at a deep level. I'm not good enough. I'm responsible for others' feelings. My source of love comes from other people, not from inside of me. I need to earn love. If I'm not perfect, I will be rejected. I am to blame for anything bad that ever happens to me. I am worthless. Women are taken for granted. Love is not available to me. Can you relate to any of these? By looking over and around the scenes from your life where these beliefs were first created, feeling the emotions you felt as a child, yet at the same time bringing the love, compassion, and understanding of your adult self, these irrational beliefs begin to lose their grip. Understanding is power, and the truth shall set you free are two very apt phrases for this healing process. Which brings us to the next step. Undo irrational childhood beliefs and update them with new supportive ones. Once you see where your beliefs began, that is, how your subconscious pain was created, it is now time to change them. It is like code written into software that's running you. Knowing that some of this code was written by a 2-year-old or a 4-year-old might explain why things aren't working so well in your life today. We try so hard to change our thoughts, our feelings, and our behaviors. But here's where we go wrong. All of these start with our own beliefs. Our beliefs create our thoughts trigger our feelings dictate how we behave, and our behavior creates the events that make up our life. So unless you change the belief, you will always go back to your old ways. This is why this method is so effective. It gets to the buggy code you've been running for years and recodes it, upgrades it, and in turn upgrades your whole life. Once this process is complete, it is time for the last step. Solidify your new beliefs through repetition so that they become your new truth. This step is so important to ensure that new habits of thought stick. This is why with RTT I give all my clients a recording which they can listen to for 21 days, solidifying their new updated beliefs. Now you may be able to make some headway by repeating your new beliefs every day, but if you've ever tried repeating affirmations, you probably already know that they can just bounce off like water off a duck's back. The subconscious mind does not let go of its beliefs easily, especially when they've been running in you for years and seem to have kept you alive quite fine. The mind's number one job is your survival, not your happiness, which also explains so many of the beliefs we form in the first place. Rapid transformational therapy allows you to get past that, and new beliefs are cemented quickly, within just 3 weeks. Once you have healed the childhood wounds, upgraded your beliefs about yourself, your worth, your lovability, and what is actually available to you, the brain literally begins to rewire. Your hormones will still shift throughout your cycle, but with no subconscious pain held within you, there is nothing for the hormones to trigger as you're taken inwards after ovulation. Instead, you will still go inwards, but it's a time of reflection, self-care, and introspection. A beautiful time which allows you to take stock and begin to get ready for the next cycle. Some doctors will tell you PMDD can't be cured. They say this because, quite rightly, there isn't a magic pill that will make the root cause go away. But there is a tried and tested process that will find the root cause of your pain and heal it. I want to get you living the life you deserve, a life where you don't live in dread in the lead up to your period, a life where you instead enjoy every phase of your cycle like the seasons of the year, working with them to create a harmonious life. So what are the benefits? Your relationships will be happier and calmer as you operate from a place of awareness and react less to things that used to trigger your pain. Be a better mum with more patience, joy, and energy. More career success without the monthly derailing of PMDD. Avoid self-fulfilling prophecies where your constant worrying actually creates the very thing you fear happening. Life is better all round and people notice the change in you. Most importantly, you love being you. I know where you're at right now. I've been there. It can be a living hell, and one that you can't really explain to anyone. But dealing with debilitating menstrual mood disturbances month after month doesn't have to be your reality. You can have a life where you're calm, peaceful, joyful, aware of your cycle but not afraid of it. You can have a deep, unwavering connection to your own unconditional love for yourself that never lets you down. Imagine your period just arriving without any real warning, apart from perhaps a few mild cramps. Your relationships on an even keel so that you continue to build intimacy instead of breaking it over and over again. You know deep down you're worthy, lovable, and enough, and you're no longer reliant on anyone for approval. I know this process works, not only because I've been through it myself, but also because these results are replicated in the women I work with. Remember Paula, who I mentioned earlier? Here's her testimonial on how the program has helped her. My first RTT session with Natalie was truly transformational, and immediately so. Since that first session, I have had 5 menstrual cycles, each easier than the last. It is surprising to me how easy a period can be. Do other women experience this all the time? Are there women out there who have never experienced irrational irritability and misdirected rage during their premenstrual period? I feel like Natalie has cured me. I no longer have PMDD, and as I continue with her program, I hope to discover more about myself and realize the potential I didn't know I had. The potential to accept myself fully and to feel whole. And Anna's testimonial. I finally feel the freedom I've wanted to feel for so long. I finally feel like I've gotten down to the root cause that has been causing my depression, anxiety, and lack of self-confidence every month. After working with Natalie, the way I think and feel has changed, and I know I will never go back to my old dimensions. I was finally given the freedom to accept the things that I cannot change, and the tools on how to move forward. You're probably wondering what's next. Well, you have a couple of options in front of you now. A, you can take away the info I've just given you, take some time to research and figure out what works best for you, and then implement the steps on your own. However, without a highly trained RTT practitioner specialized in working with premenstrual issues, you'll have a long, arduous road ahead. Without being able to access your subconscious mind, you will go round and round in circles, overanalyzing, overthinking, and generally driving yourself nuts. I know, because I tried everything else and nothing worked until I found this method. Or option B. If you're like the women I described that successfully healed their debilitating premenstrual mood issues, and you don't have time for a lot of trial and error, and you want to get maximum results in the minimum time, you can apply for a free consultation with me, where we can discuss the possibility of getting you the help you need to achieve the results you desire. This can happen much, much quicker with personal therapy and support than without it. If this is you, just click the button below and apply for this free strategy session. I only ever work with 5 women at a time, and I'm currently taking on a small number of new clients, applying this highly successful holistic method to each woman's personal story. No one woman is the same. I only work with women I believe I can help, so it is important we have a chat to ensure you're a good match for the method I use. Once you apply for your free call by clicking the button below and scheduling your appointment, we can actually get on a video chat and take a look at what PMDD symptoms you're dealing with, and specifically what appears to be triggering these symptoms, what your desires and goals are, and then make a step-by-step plan on how to free you from the pain causing your PMDD so that you can live your life uncompromised. Let me remind you who this is for. If you're sick and tired of premenstrual mood swings, from anger to deep sadness to feelings of very low self-worth, and have had enough, if you're ready for a change but feel overwhelmed and not sure where to start, if you're fed up with trying to figure this out yourself and you want to get results, then book your strategy session with me now. You only have one life. Don't let PMDD take any more precious days away from you. You deserve the freedom you'll find.